I'm often asked where I was born, and I tell them it's a little town called Ill-Mole, Missouri. And the only thing I could distinguish that town with is the fact that at the time it was the exchange station for the railroad. And my grandfather was raised in that area, and he worked for the railroad. He worked for the railroad company and became what they call a straw boss. And one of the benefits of being a straw boss was that he got a boxcar. Well, what happened is he got married and started to have kids, and 12 or 13 of his family members moved in, and my grandmother and my mother ended up having siblings of 14 of us that shared that boxcar down in Ill-Mole, Missouri. But that's where I was raised. That's the house I was raised in. And my grandmother did a wonderful job maintaining that house and maintaining the discipline and understanding our roles in that house, which was our community. I was lucky enough to find out that athletics was acceptable for a person of color in my time, and it allowed me to differentiate myself from everybody else, black and white. And it opened the doors for a lot of other things in terms of relationships and people's respect and gaining their trust and allowing them to trust me. The first time I saw the Harlem Globetrotters at a small theater called the Wildie, it's probably in 1952 or 53. I walked in this theater and I saw the Harlem Globetrotters on screen, and I stayed there all day. I didn't know anything about role models back in those days. I just know that I'd never seen anything quite like that, and I wanted to be the way they were. I wanted people to feel about me the way they felt about those guys. When I finished high school, I went to Abe Saperstein to play with the Globetrotters because one of his scouts had scouted me to be a Harlem Globetrotter out of high school, and the money was really good. I showed up in the office and he said, "I didn't bring you here to hire you. I brought you here to get you to go to school, and I want you to attend the University of Illinois. I want you to finish school, and then you come back when you finish college." My first college basketball game, I scored 26 points and came out of the game celebrating. We'd beaten Butler that night. People were having a good time. Assistant coach named Howie Brown. He walked up to me and he said, "Why are you celebrating?" I said, "We won. I had a great time." He said, "You didn't help anybody else." And from that point on, we talked a lot about your objective as a point guard, as a leader of the team, is to make your team better. I've carried that through my whole life. I look out over the staff of people I'm working with, and I think I've got to make them just a little bit better. How can I make them better? By giving them assists or do what I should be doing to make them better people and better performers. I'm asked the question how a serious basketball player from the University of Illinois ended up being an entertainer with the Harlem Globetrotters. And after a couple years of being away from college, Abe attracted me to come to the Globetrotters to tour the world. And his message was this, very simple. He said, "We are becoming global as an economy and socially. I'll give you an opportunity to learn about the world." He kept his promise. For a year and a half, 2 years, we traveled the whole world together, and I enjoyed every minute of it. When people ask about my business career, I can only tell them that I'm an achiever, and in many ways an overachiever. I had been in the business of acquiring and fixing troubled companies. The Globetrotters went into bankruptcy, and they're about ready to go out of business. And I thought, I know how to fix them. And I have an affinity for the Globetrotters and some feeling for them and a connection to it. I know how to fix that. Well, lo and behold, I fell in love. I fell in love all over again. I saw the value of attracting young kids of all backgrounds to it, and I got enthusiastic about it. And I built an organization with people who felt the same way. It's odd that one person could have been so lucky. I've been given a lot, and I should give back. There's been a lot of charitable giving by the Jackson family, and been asked what's the goal, what's the target we've set for the giving. And I've repeated a few times that our financial target is $100 million, and we're making good progress toward that. Well, my grandfather always said the measure of man is how he's respected by his community, and it had less to do with how you valued yourself or the package you had wrapped yourself in. I'd ask him why he'd sit on the porch and would give money out to people and give advice out, and he said, "This is a measure of leadership here, what your community thinks of you." I don't know. I don't know any different than that. It certainly isn't wealth. I've been there before, and it's not a measure of anybody, and it certainly isn't making basketball shots. It doesn't do that. At the end of the day, I still think my grandfather was right. It's what your community, whatever that community is, feels about you. That's the measure of it to me.